Hello, everybody. It's Bill. It's that college football guy. Here another video. It's part two. Part two of the Sun Belt prediction series. We're talking James Madison, Marshall, and Old Dominion. The rest of the other three schools in the East Division of the Sun Belt. So, this is going to be interesting. Shall we get into this? All right, let's start off with JMU. James Madison, the Dukes. 11-2 last season, but they lost to Air Force in the Armed Forces Bowl. Vegas has got their win total at 8.5, so they're expected to do some things this year. They have a new head coach in Bob Chesney since who takes over. He was previously the head coach at Holy Cross. I want to see how well that translates. He brought over Dean Kennedy as offensive coordinator. So on there, this team has a heavy Holy Cross feel to it. But Holy Cross did win some games, so you have some talent there. So how's that going to translate? We're going to find out about that. Washington transfer Dylan Morris. He looks like he's going to be the front runner to be the starting quarterback. We'll see how that goes. Looks like we have another running back by committee situation there, but I think Ayo Adehi, I hope I'm saying his name right, looks like he may be the front runner. If there's going to be a lead back, he'd probably be the one. Wide receiver room is okay. Offensive line looks to be solid, and they're going to need to be. Because they got some defenses they're dealing against. Defensively, they have a new defensive coordinator, Lyle Hemphill, who was formerly the defensive coordinator at Duke. So he has that pedigree coming in. Defense as a whole, there were so many transfers. This is not quite a complete rebuild, but this is a lot of shuffling around to do. A lot of pieces be moving in here. Here you have some players back, some experience, not some experience, but it's gonna be an interesting work in progress. How well can Coach Hemphill get everybody together? That's gonna be a key to this team. So, shall we get into this? Starts off the season on the road at Charlotte, which I covered this in the American predictions. They beat Charlotte. Then they're at home against Gardner-Webb. Yeah, that's a win. Then they have a bye. Out of the bye, on the road at North Carolina. Cover this in the ACC predictions. Unfortunately for y'all, you're losing to North Carolina. Let me just take that off the thing here. Something on the screen is weird. Home against Ball State. Out of the MAC. You're at home, and you just are a lot more talented than they are. So you're beating Ball State. Now you're starting to conference play on the road at ULM, Louisiana Monroe. Same situation as Ball State. You're just more talented than they are. Even though you're on the road, you're going to beat Louisiana Monroe. Then you're at home against Coastal Carolina. I covered this in part one. You're beating Coastal Carolina. On the road at Georgia Southern, also covered in part one. You're beating Georgia Southern. Home against Southern Miss. Didn't play them last year, but you're just more talented than they are. Again, so you're at home as well, so you're going to win that game. Then you get your other bye. Come out of the bye at home against Georgia State. I covered this in part one. You're beating Georgia State. On the road at Old Dominion, you beat them by 3 at home last year. Now you got them on the road. This is kind of a game I was like, if they're going to get caught slipping, this might be the one. But I have you beating Old Dominion on the road. And then you go on the road to Appalachian State. I covered this in part one as well. You lose on the road to Appalachian State. Come back to finish the season at home against Marshall. You beat them by 11 on the road. Now you're at home. I think you're beating Marshall again. So James Madison's going to be 10-2, 7-1 in conference. Now, next up, we've got the Marshall, the Thundering Herd, subscriber school. 6-7 last year. You lost to UTSA in the Miami Beach Bowl. Vegas has your win total at 5.5. They're not expecting even to go to a bowl this year. Charles Huff comes back as the head coach. 22-17 in 2 seasons at Marshall. This is an interesting situation at Marshall. There is a 3-way battle for who's going to be the starting quarterback at Marshall. You've got what we got here. Wake Forest transfer Mitch Griffiths. You've got Tulsa transfer Braylon Braxton, and the backup who's a lot more talented than his stats indicate, Cole Pennington. Name sound familiar? Yeah, he's the son of former NFL quarterback and Marshall alum Chad Pennington. Is that going to give him an outside track for the job? I don't know how that's going to go here, but we'll see. Running back room, this is like another running back by committee situation. We'll see how that goes. Wide receiver room is almost a complete rebuild. I mean, there's some players back, but not that many that contributed last year. Offensive line could be an issue. You lost 3 of your starters. That could be a problem. We'll see how that goes. Defensively, you lost some talent, but there's enough of it back. And will you have back produced a pass rush last year? And I think they're going to do it again this year. Linebacker room, linebackers, I think they're going to be the stars of the defense. They were flying all over the place last year and making plays front in the backfield all over the place. I think they're going to be doing it again. Secondary, you have some talent there in your secondary, but depth, quality depth, that is an issue. I looked at it like, you guys get a couple of injuries. This could be a serious problem. So shall we get into the Marshall Thundering Herd here? You start off the season at home against Stony Brook. Yeah, that's a win. Then you're on the road at Virginia Tech. I covered that in the ACC predictions. Unfortunately, you're losing that game. Then you get the bye. Then out of the bye, you are in Columbus at Ohio State. Yeah, we covered in the Big Ten predictions, and stunner, you're losing to Ohio State. Then you're at home against Western Michigan, MAC school. You're kind of both in the same position, so I kind of look at this as a coin flip game. You're at home, so I'm going to give you the win. Then you're at home against Appalachian State. I covered this in part 1. You're losing to Appalachian State. On the road at Georgia Southern. I also covered this in part 1. You're losing to Georgia Southern. Home against Georgia State. Also covered in part 1. You're beating Georgia State. Now you come out of the bye, your second bye. You're at home against ULM. ULM has the ability every year to play somebody where they can upset them, surprise them out of nowhere. Louisiana Monroe has always done that. And I thought about, could this possibly happen? But you've got the bye. You're at home. I don't think the upset's happening. I'm picking Marshall to be Louisiana Monroe. Then you're on the road at Southern Miss. Same situation here. I think this is also a coin flip game. And unfortunately for you, you're on the road. I think they're going to catch you and beat you. Then you're at home against Coastal Carolina. I covered this in part 1. You're losing to Coastal Carolina. On the road at Old Dominion. You beat them by 6 at home last year. I think they're going to be a problem for you. And I think you're going to lose to Old Dominion. And you finish the season on the road at James Madison, which I literally just did. You're losing to James Madison. So unfortunately, Marshall, you're finishing the season 5-7. 3-5 in conference. Now we have the last team in the Sun Belt East. We're talking about Old Dominion, the Monarchs. They went 6-7 last year. They lost to Western Kentucky in the Bahamas Bowl. Vegas has their win total at 4.5. They're not thinking too much here. Ricky Ronnie, who's your head coach, 15-23 in 3 seasons at Old Dominion. Grant Wilson's back under center to be the starting quarterback. That's a good thing for you, having his experience back there. Another running back by committee situation, but unfortunately for this, you have a few at the top who can handle it. But the depth at the end, I'm a little worried about. Wide receiver room should be good. Offensive line, you sucked at pass protection last year. Let's be honest. You sucked at it. You got some better players in now. Can you improve on that? That's going to be big here. Defensively, the defensive line did good making plays, stopping the run, but there was no pass rush. You need to improve on that. Linebackers, another group, time to be the stars of the defense because they're making some of the plays. They're the ones doing the pass rush here. They're the ones making the plays. Can they continue to do so? The secondary, unfortunately, this is almost a complete rebuild. There is very little talent left, and that if you don't have a pass rush defensive line, the linebackers can make a play. That secondary could get exposed. So, how is Old Dominion doing this year? Well, they start off the season on the road against the Gamecocks of South Carolina. Yeah, I covered this in the SEC predictions, and what a shock you're losing this game. Then you're at home against East Carolina. I picked this in the American prediction series. You're actually going to beat East Carolina at home. Then you stay at home and play Virginia Tech. Cover this in the ACC predictions. Unfortunately, you're losing to Virginia Tech. Come out of the bye at Bowling Green. I covered this in the part 2 of the subscriber roll call predictions. You're losing to Bowling Green. Then you're on the road at Coastal Carolina and Georgia State. Back-to-back road games here. You actually have a string here with 3 consecutive road games. At Coastal Carolina, at Georgia State. Covered both of these in part 1, and you're losing both of them. But you come out of that, you come back home against Texas State. Fortunately for you, they're just more talented than you are. This is going to be a close game. This could potentially give you a win. But I think with Texas State's offense, they're just more talented than you, and I'm picking them, Texas State, to beat you. You're at home against Georgia Southern. Cover this part 1. You're beating Georgia Southern. Then you're on the road at Appalachian State. I also covered this in part one. Unfortunately, you're losing to Appalachian State. Now you get your second bye. Out of the bye at home against James Madison. I literally just covered this. You're losing to James Madison. Then you're home against Marshall. I literally just covered this game. You're beating Marshall. And then you're on the road at Arkansas State. This is kind of a coin flip game, but they have more talent than you do. So unfortunately, you're losing to Arkansas State. Could this flip? It could. It's kind of like a couple of games on the schedule here could flip, but I think you're losing that game, so that makes you 3-9, 2-6 in conference. So let's do a recap here for the Sun Belt. James Madison 10-2, 7-1 in conference. Marshall 5-7, 3-5 in conference. Old Dominion 3-9, 2-6 in conference. How'd I do? You need to let me know about this down in the comments. So thanks everybody for watching the video. If you haven't done it already, do me the favor. Smash the like button, hit the thumbs up. It helps with the algorithm, helps the video be seen by more people. Comment on the video with James Madison, with Marshall, with Old Dominion. Where did I screw up? Where did I get it right? Let me know in the comments. Share the video if you want to. And if you haven't done it already, if you've also subscribed to the channel, thank you so much for doing so. Really appreciate it. Also, double check. I actually checked in between making these videos that I got messages on Twitter, on X, that people were getting unsubscribed again. I don't know what's going on, but double check if you're a subscriber. You subscribe. Make sure you're subscribed to the channel, and make sure you've hit the bell for the notification bell to let you know when I post a video. Make sure that's hit. If you haven't subscribed already, check out some of the other videos I've done. If you like them, hey, subscribe to the channel. It's on the way to 700 subscribers, slowly but surely on the crawl to 1,000 to make some things happen. So again, thanks everybody for watching. Part 3 is tomorrow. That's going to be the start of the Sun Belt Western Division. 4 on that one tomorrow. So there'll be another one getting at you. So thanks everybody for watching. Whoever's having a great day, be safe out there, and please be good to each other.